Welcome back to Ms. World Traveler Explores San Diego. We are investigating what makes the city so special beyond the obvious incredible year-round weather and location right on the Pacific Ocean.
Renowned for its combination of nature and architecture, Balboa Park, a 1,400-acre plot set aside in 1868, was named in honor of the first Spanish explorer to lead an expedition to the Pacific Ocean through the Panama Canal. The idea of a grandiose cultural park was formulated in 1909 in preparation for the Panama, California Exposition of 1915, and its design was inspired by the Spanish colonial style. Continual improvements such as pedestrian walkways, modernization of roadways, building rehabs, and intricate landscaping plans have contributed to the beauty and popularity of the park now and for future generations. Located in Balboa Park, the Spanish Village Art Center is a 36-studio artist collective patterned to look like a quaint small town setting. With a cozy and friendly feel, it was originally built in 1935 for the second California Exposition and has been welcoming the public to interact with artists as they work for nearly 90 years.
So first thing I wanted to ask about is this beautiful location, Spanish Village that we're in. So how long have you been here and why here?
The village has been here almost 100 years, and actually almost probably a little over 80, 85 or so. And we've been here, the Guild has been here since 1979.
Ooh,
and I've
back
been
when you
here,
were a child.
I wish. So I've been with them probably about 38 years.
Okay.
So off and
So
on.
it is a guild in here.
Yes.
So how many artists are in the guild that show here?
We have 23 in our guild, right in the studio alone.
Well, do most of them do their work here, or do they do it
No,
at home and they bring it?
Because we only sit 1 or 2 days a month, in theory, most of us work at home as well.
Mm-hmm.
Others will find other members to sit with and come in and work with them. So it works both ways.
Well, I know you have a kiln and you have some kind of big equipment, so you kind of have to have a setup at home if you're going to do this, right?
Right. And I have a kiln, I have all my enamels, and I can work easily at home, but it's so much more fun here.
Right.
Yeah,
a little bit more social, people coming in and asking questions,
right,
and wanting to, because I think a lot of people don't understand what enameling is.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get into it, and then how to explain it to someone else?
I saw a bowl in the shop about 49 years ago, which really piqued my interest in it. And from then I found classes, and it just grew from there. I worked in the insurance industry at the time, so I was going to classes at night. And then I left that company and went back to school to get my degree in enameling. And then I taught it for 23 years.
It sounds so much more interesting than insurance.
Oh, for sure.
You probably never looked back, right?
No, never did.
You don't look back and say, oh, I wish I did insurance again. Nothing wrong with insurance, this just sounds so much more interesting.
This is a little more creative, I think.
Exactly. Do you feel like you're still as passionate about it today as you
more
were?
So.
Even more so. It just grows over time, doesn't it?
Right. When I graduated, I ended up teaching for about 23 years. So all of my focus was on my students, and my creativity was for them. When I retired not too long ago, now I could, even though I miss my students, I can focus on being a little more creative in different ways for me.
So are there new processes to learn all the time? I mean, is it something that you sort of start here and end here? Or is it just refining of the same processes?
It's more refining, and there is always something new to learn, because if I focus on cloisonné, which is what I started in the beginning, then you can learn different techniques after that. And recently, maybe in the last 10 or plus years, we have some enamels that we can actually paint with. a little bit more. So we've always had them, but in a different capacity. So I'm exploring those right now, working on a flat surface and continuing with my bowls.
So there's kind of an evolution
Yes.
of even the materials,
Right.
which has given you more opportunities to make
Absolutely.
new and interesting things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what is the process that we go through? I know you've got a little setup over here. So why don't we go look at the setup?
Okay.
You can show us sort of, piece by piece, sort of what happens. How does it become an enameled piece?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. To begin with, there are two basic setups. One is a painting enamel, and one is the basic bowl making. Many of our members will either purchase bowls or purchase items, and the process begins with the enameling at that point. For me, I like the hands-on, I like the creative forces in manipulating the metal. And so I start out, these are my actual tools. I start out with a large sheet of copper, and I cut that down to a reasonable size, and then I start forming it on my plate here, and then I use my bedpost there.
These are high-tech tools,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Whatever works.
Right. And then I just use various hammers and continue pounding the metal. And with metal, when you pound it, when you hammer it, it needs to be annealed softly to soften the metal a little bit.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will crack over time. So there's an annealing process, a cleaning process, and then you start hammering again. And slowly it just builds up. And then once I have the shape that I like, then I go ahead and the enameling process starts. And I will sift a coat of enamel on the inside and then fire that. And then I go back and I repeat the process on the back side. Why do I do that? Glass and metal expand and contract at different rates. So besides being an aesthetic value, it's a technical issue because we need to sandwich the metal in between the layers of glass.
Okay.
So once I get my basic coats done, then I start my coloring. And I can go and work with simple colors, and I can gravitate to working a design here. So,
and are you painting that, or is this part of the sifting that you do the different?
That's a good question.
Colors?
That's a good question. No, that is actually put in a water slurry, a water solution, and I have a little bit of a binder in there. And when you're painting with enamel granules, it's not like you can paint with a watercolor because you need to use the water and move the granules around. So once I get that situated, and a lot of Q-tips I use to wick out the water and make it the right consistency.
Another very important technical tool.
Absolutely, absolutely. And once that is fired, then I start my drawing. We have a special ink that we use. And I will get out my crow quill pen and have fun drawing. And then that has to be fired. And then the last thing I do is polish the edges. I'll burnish them, and then I do lacquer my edges because it just tends to slow down the tarnishing process for the final product.
So you have how many firings? Each one of these is fired, right?
Right. This is fired once. Then I'll do the back, and then I'll do the back again, and then probably the inside again. So I have between 2 and 4 firings right there before I start my coloring.
Wow.
And then I may do 2 more on top, 2 more on the back if I'm doing a simple bowl. So you're talking 7, 8, 9 firings.
Well, no wonder. It's so beautiful. The process is somewhat complex. It takes a long time.
It's a great art because it goes back, centuries, and the permanence of the art is what really drew me to it. The coloring and the permanence of it. Yeah.
We've all seen enamel bowls, pendants, and decor, but probably couldn't say how they're made. Now that you know the process, it's easy to appreciate the artistry of the Enamel Guild members.
We are not done in Spanish Village. There's so much to see and more amazing artists to meet, so we'll stick around and learn about some of the incredible things you can do with polymer clay. Next time on Ms. World Traveler Explores San Diego.